In this video, I will be teaching you how I've made money with my tech skills. I am a tech professional who has 6 years of experience. Most of my work is involved in custom software development. I utilize website builders, and then also I do UI and UX as well. As a professional software engineer, as a dev, I made the best, you could say my record is that I made over 100,000 in 1 year before taxes. And as I said, this was as a pro dev. And then my all-time freelancing record is that I've made a little over 10K all-time freelancing after taxes. So I'm a little bit newer to the freelance game, but nonetheless, I have had some success there. Today, what I am going to show you is the framework that gave me success from a professional development standpoint. This type of tech professional will be employed in a corporate environment, and how I used essentially the same framework to also start to get success in freelancing. Freelancing is currently what I do, and it has been a new monster, but in and of itself, I've been shocked at essentially how the same principles are shared between being a corporate worker and a freelancer. And those are the principles that I'll show you today and the steps essentially of how it is that I got to this point. As I said, it took me 6 years to get to this point, but let's just assume this is me and my journey. Where I started is that I learned initially programming. This was in May of 2019. That's when I started. And just like many of you, I started in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then graduated on to full stack frameworks, IDEs. And then as time went on, I ended up specializing in front end development effectively. And then as I started to work more in freelance, I noticed a market demand for businesses that needed landing pages effectively. They needed to collect leads, and they oftentimes didn't need custom code to do that. They really just needed something that was designed for them, a web page that was designed for them. And because of how advanced software or web development software was at that point, I ended up learning how to use web builders. The web builder that I primarily work on is Elementor, and that web builder is based on a CMS platform, a content management system known as WordPress. Right? And you don't really need any coding skills to be able to use that tool or use those tools, but you do need to have an eye for design. Insofar as design, I honed my design skills, my UI and my UX skills on Figma. And I have those skills now. And I would say on all of those skills, I would consider myself to be above average, not the best, but definitely not a noob anymore. And insofar as those skills are concerned, it took me a total of, I'm still learning today, essentially. So from when I began in 2019 to now, September 2025, 6 years later, I'm still learning how to use these tools every day a little bit more. And I am better with them, but it never ceases to surprise me just how little I know, even with the amount of time that I've spent behind my computer figuring this stuff out. But essentially what I did is that I learned those skills, right? And then I found people that had problems that those skills solved. Okay. And in a way, as I've gotten more experience, that approach is this actually being step number one, the learning the skill, and then going to step number two, which is finding people to solve their problems, is actually a little bit backwards, and I'll tell you why, but this is how I did it. So I got the skills, and at first it wasn't just, I didn't have all three core skills: programming, web builders, UI, UX. I just started with programming. So I just started with one of those, and then I started looking for people that had problems. And I didn't really know this at the time, that this is what I was doing, but that's essentially what you do when you learn how to program and you go to look for a traditional corporate job. You are essentially looking for companies that have very specific software development problems. And you as an engineer, you provide a solution to those problems, right? And that's what I did. So I learned how to code, and then I went on the traditional job hunt, right? But then as time went on and I was able to find success, I also found people that had problems on freelancing sites. This was like Fiverr or Upwork. And then I also found people that had problems with internet stuff, in real life as well. So this could be anybody. This could be is my neighbors, leads that were gathered just out in the wild. So literally the just businesses that exist out in the wild, connecting with them and learning that they need a website, for example, or also clients that I've already worked with would come back to work with me again, right? And it was in the process of finding people that had problems in these last two bullet points, which is freelancing and IRL and stuff like that, that I ended up learning web builders, UI, UX. And each of these skills, in a way, you'll notice that they're actually they're complementary. So web builders, for example, are built off of custom code. UI, UX is what ends up essentially dictating how a front end will look and feel. So the skills, although they seem different, they're actually very, very complementary when it comes to being a professional. So either way, point being is that once I found the people that had the problems, right? Well, this is actually a duplicate. Let me get rid of that. Apologies. Okay, yeah. So once I found the people that had the problem or the problems that my skills could solve, all I did was just solve that specific problem, right? So for a company, this is, hey, we need you to help us maintain our proprietary software, or we need you to help us build these new features on the front end. For a small business that does digital marketing, this could be, hey, we need a landing page that is SEO optimized, that has a UI UX that will allow us to increase the chances of converting a user that comes on the site. Or for example, like I need a new website, but I don't know what the color scheme is going to be. I don't know what the branding is going to look like. I don't even know what the website in general is going to, what it's going to be. That's where UI, UX comes in handy, right? So essentially what I did is I sourced people with those problems, and then I apply my skills to then solve that problem. And then once the problem is solved, that's when they pay me. So I learned that. So in simple, I learned the skill. I found people that had problems with that my skills could uniquely solve. I solved those problems, and then I got paid. The cycle is actually pretty simple. I'll go over some X factors that are not really shown here in this diagram in just a bit. But before I do that, I would actually say I wanted to note this, that if I could actually do the process all over again in terms of learning the skill and then finding people to solve their problem, finding people with problems to solve, I would actually start inverse. So I would actually start here, right? And find first the market demographic. So find people out there with problems. And let's say that you already have a specialization in web or a specialization in software. Yeah, so you would find people with problems, and then based off of that would help you that would better inform what technologies you should be learning, right? Because a problem that a lot of guys can run into is that they'll learn a skill that doesn't have a market that needs that skill right now, right? And this is typically the trap of learning something like a new framework or a new technology that's very popular insofar as tech geeks, but tends to be less popular insofar as actual market use. So I would actually do the opposite if I can save you any time at all, which would be to find, go on Fiverr, go on Upwork, go on any job site or job hunting site and see what is actually in demand. And that'll give you a much clearer picture of tools or technology that you can learn. And the reason why it's important to do that are because of these X factors. Essentially, the biggest X factor that I would say is time, because it's going to take a lot of time to learn a new technology. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've probably already spent some time learning something in the tech space. And because of how long it takes you to actually get proficient with any tool or any tech, you really want to make sure that tech has market relevance. And if it doesn't, I would argue that the only reason why you should be learning that tech is for hobby reasons or because it interests you. But I would not be learning tech randomly. If you focus first on finding the target market and then learn the tech that serves that target market, you will be spending your time wisely, to say the least. And then another X factor is the degree of difficulty. I don't have to tell you, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've struggled with some aspect. Learning tech is tough. And even with AI, which I'll talk about in just a moment, it's still really, really tough. Acquiring new clients is very, very tough. Getting a new job is very, very tough. So as you can tell from the numbers, this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is just a alternative path that I don't think people think about it like that. A lot of people just may think, okay, I'll code and then I'll get a job, but they don't really understand the principles that are behind that. And that's really what the point of this video is. Another X factor, not all of these X factors are necessarily negative, or they don't have to be perceived. I would like you to not perceive all these X factors as negative. There's a lot of people are worried about AI replacing them, but I spend a lot of time on this channel studying AI and really how successfully it's being implemented. And I think it's actually going to serve you more than it's going to hurt you if you apply a framework like this. It has for me, and everything that I do, from this channel to working with my clients to coding. AI actually helps me most of the time. And the data on how effective, and this is why I put beta here, because the data on how effective it actually is kind of still up in the air in my frank opinion. But at least from my anecdotal experience of it, I do see it have its benefits in certain areas of my workflow. So once you're skilled up, AI can definitely help you be better at what it is that you do, at least from my anecdotal experience. So those are some of the X factors. And as I said before, if you can deal with that, then you can make money with your tech skills. And by no means is this the only way to do it. There's many different ways, but this is how I did it. This is how I'm currently doing. So if you're interested in following a route that is realistic and not hype, I hope that you take this information and run with it. I'll actually be making this diagram available in the link below for completely free. Just add your email and you can go and scope it out and copy paste it or use it for your own purposes as a reference. If you have any questions or if you need any help throughout your process of monetizing your tech skills, just make sure to leave them in the comment section. And especially for this video, I'll be happy to answer them. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye-bye.